Hello and welcome. I hope you're doing alright. I am doing all good. I do like this time of year, mid to late October. It's still nice and warm. We haven't hit single figures yet in the night. And the light is kind of almost like an all-day sunset with the angle it's coming in. So yeah, you sort of get the nice shadows against the bananas themselves and then against the fence over there. So anyway, I've winterized the garden a little bit, which just basically means putting stepping stones around the place so I can walk around without getting too muddy and wet constantly, because it's a bit boggy, this stuff, quite reasonably, I don't know, reasonably weighted clay. It's not heavy clay, but there's enough of it in there to make it annoying when it all sticks to your boots in the winter. But anyway, so I thought I'd just sort of take a bit of time to just run through some plans for the next 6 months, getting everything ready for new plants that are going to go in next year. It's been about a year since I started this. It was at this time last year. It was just basically this patio and all grass that had been left too long. So I spent a few months last year just digging it all out. So it has been about a year since I've actually started doing stuff. I do have loads of pictures which I'll sort out at some point into sort of, so you can see me marking out all of that, but it's quite a nice point just to take a little trip through, see what the plans are short, medium and long term. So if we start down this end, I want to get sort of, my main priority is getting everything ready for plants to go in, because what I don't want to do is put the plants in too late and then not be able to get a good root system, because all the other plants have spread their roots. So that's it on the gardening side. So I want to get all the sort of groundy stuff in so I can work off that. One of those things is this sort of pergola that's going to go against the house here and come across to these fence posts. I sort of worked out that here on the ground, the thing that's going to go for your eye is this little jut out here that you can see in the centre, and that's so there's a bit more room to walk around a table and chairs, which will be where I'm stood at the moment. And the little octagon step out, that's just a temporary thing now. I want it to look like it's been cut out of that higher octagon shape where the grass is under, at the edge of the slide and all that. So that's all right. I can, that'll be the last thing I do. The actual sculpting of the mud. But it's good to know what we're doing with it. So what I needed to do was find the centre point of the two octagons that are side by side there. And the centre line, funny enough, if we come down here, is pretty much where my toe is there, that line. The fence posts, funny enough, are going to be on that middle row of paving stones, and I figure I'm going to need to have it two across on the right hand side of this stone here where my toe is. That's pretty much where the fence post is going to go there, and then that should allow me to make it look like a cutout. So again, that's 1, 2, and then the fence post. If we go to the centre line again and then go 1, 2, so the next post is going to go where my toe is there. So that's pretty sorted and easy, and then they're in line that way with the fence posts, and then up the row and with that fence post by the tiki head there. So pretty good with that. What that then led me to do, I had to get that fence post in first, the one by the tiki head, because it's got the roots of that tree behind it all in there. So I was only going to get it in a certain spot, which is what I've done, is slid it between two big roots down there. So that's where he is. So if this fence post that's going in where my toe is, if we think this line on this first row is going to marry up with it, that leaves us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a little bit paving slabs till we get to that one. So again, if I come across here, the equivalent line is this one with the weed coming out of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That fence post that I've amended the trellis to, they were sticking double distance out where the insetti is effectively, but yesterday I was thinking about this, so I thought I'd mock it up. So that's a kind of little idea of what I'm thinking of doing there. But what I'll probably do is, if you can see, this does all marry up. We've got the sort of straight bit coming towards us from the black edge in there. then it cuts across on this diagonal in front at the front of this flower bed, and then it cuts back straight to the fence there, if you sort of catch my drift. So there's a sort of corner there that marries up, you know, this bit comes out, comes across, so the corner there just in about 6 inches to the left of the edge of the chair or the bench is in line with this corner here. You can see that fence post, well you probably can't, but it's about 10-15 centimetres off of that line. So I think I'm going to actually put the fence post, when I put it in the ground, a bit further out so that all those corners match up, just to make it like a nice flat edge. And then any bench or what I want to do here, I can make it look up, so then that looks like a sort of octagon. So I think that'll look pretty good. But yeah, that's just, so I need one fence post where that little sheep is at the bottom, near enough, one fence post here, one fence post here. That's already got a fence post on it, and then the only last fence post I need to do is this is going to be a little seating area where the barbecue is. The reason is, if I come through to about head height of when you're sat on the bench, can you just see the trees in the distance there? And it gets the evening sun sort of drops over the corner of that house over there, so evening sun looking out over that with the sun going across it is really nice. So I want to try and keep that view if I can. But that's why it's raised up so high. So up here anyway, there's going to be a little tin roof on it effectively, and what I'm going to do is this fence post that I've put in here, the equivalent distance off this way, if you see what I mean, so we're straight in line with it now. If we come down, it will intercept the black edging pretty much bang on this little washer, the dripper, which you can see is a little bit jut back, but it actually works out, because then if you think there's a fence post up straight there, when I then put the little cross brace that's going to sit on top of that across to that fence post at the back, it's actually going to marry up parallel with this edging that runs up there. So that's going to be really nice. And then from that fence post, the little bit I've got to work out is I need to send another cross brace, but if I send it back to that fence post, that's not on a 45-degree angle, so it may be something, you know, just something I need to work out. And then also what I need to work out, because it ties in with the garden inside, is the trellis around the top of the fence, which is mainly what sort of size do I want it, because for the two fences hit on the side, this one here and that one there, I don't particularly want to lose too much sky, because there's bungalows the other side of this, so you can't see, as you can see, you can't see any of the roofs when you're in the garden. And again, that way there's no houses sort of directly over that fence. I know there's those in the right and the left, so maybe a sort of big trellis in the corners and then a little trellis underneath it. But like I said, I don't really want to lose that view, so, but I do want a trellis all the way around, mainly to try and break up the wind a little bit, but also, as you can see, the privacy of those sort of 5 windows at the back. When you're actually in the garden, it's all right, a small little trellis will sort it out, but when you're where I am, even a big 60-centimetre trellis probably won't cover those windows, but it'll do something. So yeah, just to sort of fleshing out ideas with that and how I'm going to connect them, because a trellis comes the same width as a normal fence post, those ones you got there, and as you can fence panel, and as you can see, my fence posts haven't got anything on top of them above that height, which means that I'll either need to put a little fence post 30 centimetres high on top of that one and brace it with a long bit of wood screwed to the front of that fence post, and then I can slot them in the middle. Or do, if I'm going to go up 30, do I get a 60 by 30 sorry, do I get a 60 and then only put 30 centimetres of it against the fence post and then leave another 30 overhanging the top, something like that. And obviously the size and the style I want, you know, because over there is fine, they're all 180, but at the back, because I've done the fence post custom, as in custom distances, you can already see that one particularly is way under 180. The next one's probably in and around 180, and then the next one, which hasn't got anything in the centre bed, that one is way over 180, which means I'm going to need to chop up the trellis, and if it's like that, it's fairly straightforward, you won't notice the joins. But if it's trellis like this stuff over here, which has kind of got like a sort of picture frame element to it, you know, it's going to show the joins at different stages aren't with the fence posts, which, you know, at the end of the day doesn't matter because they're all going to be covered by climbers, hopefully. So yeah, anyway, just things to flesh out over in this corner here regarding that. When it comes to the gardening side of it in this corner, once I've decided what I'm doing with all this, I want to run some climbers up, but not at the back against that fence, because like I said, there's going to be a sort of bench or something sat against there. So I've got this little area here, which, until I've sorted it all out and just know if I need to do anything different, I'm not going to set these steps in stone yet. But my plan is to get another ticky head like the one I've got there, and, you know, that's just a normal plastic plant pot at the moment, so put another one of them in there, sink it into the ground like it is, like a sort of Easter egg island effect. That sort of hides up all the sins of the, you know, the fact that it's a snapped paver and all that, so that works out quite well. When it comes to here, this little curbstone thing that I've got is sort of sat on the wall and half of it's hanging over at that end. As you can see, I've mocked it up. That last one I've got, just because I've only got 4 of these that sort of look the same, is going to go where it is now, and that will give a kind of nice little, it'll just open up the flower bed a little bit in there. At the moment there's a Blechnum Spicant right in the back corner, which I don't think is really particularly liking it there, but he's going to have to live there for a little bit. This is a Dryopteris Arata, just because if I see a Dryopteris Arata I can't help but buy it. These are 2 Jurassic golds, just in case you're wondering. I'll probably keep these ones in there actually. They've been dotted around a fair bit, mostly in that back right corner, which is full shade, but when this one was throwing up its new fronds, I don't think we've got any, but they're kind of, there's almost a sort of creaminess to them, a creamy, reddy, terracotta-y type, which I suppose is why it's called Jurassic Gold. I think that goes quite well with the material and the colour of the tiki head, so I'm quite happy with the 2 Jurassic Golds in there in pots. And what I'll probably do, I'm half thinking about smashing out the bottom of the pots and filling it with mud so they can get their roots down into the ground if they need to, rather than have it as an actual pot and me having to repot it all the time. So yeah, enough to ponder. But when it comes to this one here, this is a sort of evening seat. Like I said, it gets the sun in the evening. We get a lot of wind come off the top of that garage and down towards us along this fence and trashing the Dicksonia there. So I've put this trellis up as a kind of, obviously it's not doing anything now, but when it gets a climber on it, I'm hoping it'll buffet the wind a little bit. The climber I'm going to put there is not a particularly jungly or, you know, Jurassic type one. It's going to be the only one that hopefully isn't, which is going to be the, I think it's the Star Jasmine, because it's evergreen, and also it gets buffeted by winds down there, which means it's likely to also get little light winds when it's not windy. And I'm thinking those open up in the night, you know, they scent in the evening, which is when likely to be sat up here, and they'll just get a nice little breeze off of that to bring the scent over you as you're sat there. So that's what I'm going to put in that one there. Again, nothing on there as implanted in the ground at the back where the barbecue is against that fence, but you can see I'm already ahead of the game on this one. That's a Fatshedera Lizei, something like that, a Fatsia crossed with ivy. I don't think it's strictly a climber, but it's more a shrub that you can bend to your will, literally, as I'm doing. So I'm just going to put that up to there, run 2 wires across at that sort of top half height where the 2 clips are virtually, maybe a bit higher up, and then have that go up there and come across here. We'll have the evergreen jasmine in there, which will look quite nice with a couple of little ferns down the bottom of it or something like that. So that's quite nice. In this area here, like I said, I'm probably going to do the trellis all the way around, and then what I'll do is I'll put wires. I have put wires out for this hydrangea that I've got in the corner. We'll get to it in a minute, but you can see I've just put some wires in, and the idea is to have it on the wires going up and then let it twist round the trellis, so the trellis will support the weight of it in the end, if you sort of see what I mean. I don't particularly want to screw any trellis to the fence at the lower level if I can help it, but we'll see how it goes. We'll have to do what we'll have to do. But this bed's obviously moved around a lot. I don't think any of them are original plants. The Fatshedera, I put that in there. I haven't moved it because I knew that was where it was going to go, but that lady fern originally started off in the centre bed, got too much sun. I moved it over there, didn't get enough sun. It's there, which it seems to like. I think it's because it's quite wet there, because I water the Dicksonias a bit quicker than anything else. The royal fern, that's moved over, that's in the centre there. That's holding a place for a larger tree fern. So next year what I'm going to do is, because if we come down here and sort of look at it from this angle, you can see it's fairly easy to do the sort of lower level, as I call it, you know, where the Dryopteris and the lower Dicksonia is, and the lady fern, and those two plants are just keeping. But if that royal fern is going to be a big tree fern, then I can get something where that Splenium heart's tongue fern is near towards us, to cover the sort of ground level. Then that Dicksonia there sort of covers that sort of middle third of the fence almost, or it will do eventually when it starts chucking out loads of fronds. I mean, it has been chucking out loads of fronds, but it only came with 2. They were damaged, so when it threw up new ones this year, he only went in probably something like June, so he's doing alright. He's just sent out another flush actually. I've got two new fronds are still unfurling as we speak, which we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, so we've got the bottom bit covered, the sort of middle third covered between the Fatshedera and the Dicksonia, so I need something to cover this sort of top third of the fence. And so I figure if I got a Dicksonia with a trunk that's probably 4 foot, that should mean that the trunk will come up to in and around where that sort of Dicksonia leaf is just pointing to the left there, that sort of height halfway up the fence. And then as you can see, the sort of fronds take up, you know, about 1/3 of the fence, so that should mean they should fill that sort of eye line down there. So yeah, that's my plan for that bed. But at the moment I'm quite happy with that as it is. The Dryopteris Wallichiana is doing alright. I haven't trimmed it or done anything yet with it, but you can see how it's gonna look. These fronds, really nice limey green, nice black stipe on it. So yeah, once it gets going, it looks like it's happy, I'll chop off some of these old damaged fronds and go from there. This is a small Dicksonia, you know, it's not got a trunk. I just bought it as a little plant one for a tenner or 20 quid or whatever it was. It's really been quite vigorous, and it looks like it's going to be very underrated as just a normal fern, if you see what I mean, because obviously everyone thinks of them with the little trunks on them, or the big trunks if you can get them and can afford them. But I think that does a job, and like that, it'll be interesting to see how it overwinters, or how I overwinter it. Like I said, the lady fern's loving life back there, covers a spot, so I'll probably leave that one in there for the time being. No plans to move it. This Dicksonia is doing exactly what I wanted it to do, which is kind of lean over into the you know, into the play area, as it were. So when, you know, if you imagine loads of ferns are going to do that at various heights all the way around, when the little ones are playing, or even not me playing, but if I'm walking around, you sort of have to creep through the jungle to get in there. Other than that, down in this little section here, we've got the the Athyrium Niponicum metallicum. No, that's the crested surf one, and that one over there, just under the Fatshedera, is the metallicum one. They not really got too much colour to them at the moment, but you know, they've only just been moved there really last couple of months, so we'll see what we do from there. Okay, so well, before we start moving around the various sections and going into other climbers and things, I'll do that as a part 2. It's taking a bit longer than I thought. Yeah, the only thing I'm thinking here is I've got this Fatshedera going up here, and it's going to go across here. So although the Dicksonia will cover that sort of, you know, area, as it were, I still need a climber there, so probably might get something like a Persian ivy or something that's just really easy to grow, and just chuck it up sort of halfway between well, that lady fern is exactly where I should be putting it, but yeah, somewhere in and around where that lady fern is, and then grow it up the fence in that section there. So yeah, anyway, waffling on a bit, but we need to go through it all, or I need to go through it all anyway. You don't need to do anything. So yeah, I'll do a part 2 at some point. I might wait for the light to get a bit better over in the corner before I do it, so I might do it a bit later on. But anyway, there's part 1 for now. Hope you're doing well. See you in a bit.